The boy did not scream when he saw the chains. He froze, breath caught in his throat, staring at the massive figure slumped against the old oak tree, wrists bound in rusted iron, leather vest torn and darkened with dried blood. The patch on the man's back was unmistakable even to a child who barely understood the world of adults. A Hell's Angel. In the quiet woods where birds should have been singing, the sight felt like a nightmare stitched into daylight, and in that moment, a single choice by a small, trembling boy would set off a chain of events that would shake over 2,000 hardened riders. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected courage, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that humanity can rise in the most unlikely places. The boy's name hardly mattered to the world beyond his town, but his life had already taught him more about fear than most grown men. He lived with his grandmother in a creaking trailer at the edge of the forest, a place where silence pressed heavy and money never stayed long. That morning, he had gone into the woods to gather fallen branches for firewood, his small hands red from the cold, his mind focused only on helping his grandmother survive another winter night. The forest had always been his escape, a place where the world felt less cruel. Until that day, when the forest showed him cruelty tied to a tree. The man chained there was enormous, even slumped and weakened, his beard matted, his face swollen and bruised. The boy could sense danger radiating from him, not just from the leather and inked skin, but from the stories whispered by adults about bikers, violence, and lawlessness. Every instinct screamed at the child to run, to pretend he had never seen this. Yet another instinct, quieter but stronger, rooted him to the frozen ground. The man was breathing, barely. And chained or not, he was human. Fear battled compassion as the boy took a hesitant step closer. The man's eyes fluttered open for a moment, clouded with pain and confusion, then shut again. There was no shouting, no threats, no movement that suggested danger. Just a broken body left to die. The boy's chest tightened, memories surfacing of nights when he himself had gone to bed hungry, when no one came to help, when being forgotten hurt worse than the cold. He understood, in his own small way, what it meant to be abandoned. The first challenge was deciding to act at all. The second was knowing how. The chains were thick, far beyond his strength. He had no phone, no tools, no adult nearby. Panic rose, but he swallowed it, forcing himself to think. He dropped his bundle of sticks and ran, legs burning, heart pounding, back toward the trailer. He burst inside, grabbed the only thing he could think of, a bottle of water and an old blanket, then ran back into the woods, lungs aching with every breath. When he returned, the man had not moved. The boy poured water carefully, clumsily, some spilling onto the dirt, some finding the man's cracked lips. He wrapped the blanket around the massive shoulders as best he could, standing on his toes to reach. His hands shook the entire time. He knew this might be a bad man. He knew the stories. But he also knew that leaving someone to die was wrong. That belief, simple and stubborn, outweighed everything else. The hours that followed tested the boy in ways no child should be tested. He stayed hidden nearby, afraid to leave, afraid someone worse might come back. When the sun began to dip, shadows stretching long between the trees, he finally ran again, this time toward town, to the small sheriff station that most people avoided. He arrived breathless, words tumbling out in a rush, pointing back toward the forest. What happened next would ripple far beyond that quiet place. News travels fast in certain circles, especially when one of their own goes missing. The man chained to the tree was not just any rider. He was a respected member, a road captain whose disappearance had already stirred unrest across several states. When the sheriff made the call, when word spread that he had been found alive, chained and left for dead, something ignited. Engines roared to life. Highways filled with thunder. By nightfall, the town trembled under the sound of hundreds, then thousands, of motorcycles converging like a steel storm. The boy watched from his grandmother's porch as they arrived, lights cutting through the dark, leather-clad figures dismounting with a presence that made the air feel heavier. Fear returned, sharper than before. He wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. But then he saw them gather not in anger, but in silence, heads bowed as word spread of what had happened, and more importantly, who had made it possible. The man survived. Doctors said he would have died within hours if not for the water, the blanket, the call for help. Hardened riders who had seen everything stood stunned by the simplicity of it. A child. No weapons. No demands. Just compassion. Over the next days, the story spread through the biker world, retold with disbelief and respect. 2,000 riders attended the gathering that followed, not to intimidate, but to honor. The boy stood small among giants, overwhelmed, as they organized quietly around him. What they did next was not about money alone, though there was plenty of that. They fixed the trailer. They stocked it with food. They paid medical bills. They ensured the boy's grandmother would never fear winter again. But more than that, they offered protection, a promise unspoken yet deeply felt, that kindness shown would be kindness returned. Before this story ends, take a moment and comment where you're watching from and what this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you think. The forest returned to silence eventually. The oak tree still stood, chains long removed, bark scarred but alive. The boy went back to gathering wood, back to school, back to being a child. But something had changed, not just for him, but for everyone who heard the story. It became a reminder whispered on long rides and lonely roads, that humanity does not belong to one side of the law or another, that even the smallest hands can tip the balance between life and death. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe even a little more in compassion, courage, and second chances, please like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement helps stories like this reach others who need hope. And never forget, sometimes the most powerful act in the world is simply refusing to walk away.